For those of you who don't remember, I'm Chester Buckley, and I'm a cartoonist, and this is Chester Buckley's Comic Strip World. Now, I have another feature that I'd like you to get to know. It's called Rugby. And Rugby is a wild and crazy teenager who speaks his mind and talks a little bit too much. Do you know anybody like that? Well, I think I do. Rugby and his girlfriend, Farla, they get into mischief and they get into trouble. You'll really like it. And he's a teenager, and as you can tell, he's called Rugby because of that rugby shirt that he never pulls off. And this is a comic page for the Sunday edition of Rugby. So now let's get down to business. What I'm going to do is show you just how a comic strip looks in the penciling process. And this is the juicy part, because every comic strip has to start with penciling. First of all, you have to think of the idea, and then you pencil it onto strips, which are comic strips that are reduced down into your daily paper. And this is Chester right here. I'm starting with his hair. He has like an afro, and I'm starting with his head and going into his eyebrows here, adding his beret. That's a beret for those who don't know. And Chester is a very popular character with people who read it. They really like the character, and of course it's me as a child. Now this is all penciling. Remember, you have to be as neat as possible, and practice makes perfect here, and we'll say I'm the perfect one. I've had to have a lot of practice, and I started doing this when I was about 13 years old, and I said, hey, I want to do this for a career, you know, and easier said than done, but you just got to be persistent. Well, that's Chester here. We'll add a little grass here and flowers. Now we've penciled in a comic strip for cotton candy, and the next step is the inking. This is the most exciting part of cartooning for me, and maybe for you too. You know, get in there and practice, and you'll find that it gets easier as you go along. So here I am starting on the hair here of Chester. And remember, you have to keep the lines solid, because the lines have to be sharp and crisp black lines so that they will photograph well on the camera that they use, because they make pictures of these pages, and they have to be sharp black lines. None of this little scratching here and scratching there. You got to use a nice pen, a drawing pen that you can get at any art store, and the shapes are usually for Chester are circular shaped for the head and square for the body. So you notice that every part of the character has a shape in there somewhere. Now you can practice making those shapes, and you find that you have a cartoon going. And this is part of the cartooning process, which is the inking. So we've done the penciling. Now we're doing the inking here. And you have to be consistent with the ink. Make sure that it is over all the pencil lines. So simplicity is really the key. You don't want to put too much into the ink drawings. You want to keep it kind of simple unless it calls for really illustrative techniques. But these are cartoons here. You got to be simple, you know. So I'm still working on Chester, the lead character in Cotton Candy, and I'm inking in his hair, or you can call it an afro, whichever you like, and his beret here. And people that are into comics do this every day of their life, and they have deadlines that they have to meet, and it's really fun to me. This is my favorite part, the inking. And so we're going to do the face here, and the mouth, and the collar. And now we're doing Chester's hands. And you got to keep in mind that it has to be neat, you know, no sloppy lines. Practice is always makes perfect here. And It's really fun to do. And I advise anybody that likes to do cartooning to get in there and really do them, because practice makes perfect. Now we're doing the socks and the knees and the sneakers and the shoelaces that go onto his sneakers. And I'm holding the ink in my hand here. Some people use clay, believe it or not. They put clay on the corner of the table and stick the ink right on the clay so they won't have to hold it. It will stay right onto the board. This India ink is really messy. And what we're going to do is set it right over here and let that ink that we have done dry. And what I'm going to do is use the electric eraser to show you how to erase your pencil lines. And that is something that gets to be a burden, believe me. So I invested in an electric eraser, and you click it on from the button and it erases your pencil lines. You go in a circular motion and it gets all the pencil lines off of your original artwork. Editors like that. It's got to be crisp and clean, free of pencil lines, and you just want to make sure that it's really neat looking. You know, no sloppiness around here. But practice and you'll get perfect at this. So here I am with the electric eraser, erasing all the pencil lines of an actual cotton candy daily here. Now, after the pencil lines have been erased, and by the way, to avoid using the eraser, you can do them in light blue pencil. If you sketch your cartoons in a light blue pencil, that line will not photograph. Red photographs black, light blue does not photograph. So that's kind of messy. So what I do is use the trusty old electric eraser. Now, after you have erased, you got to get rid of this stuff. So what I do, and you have to keep a box handy for this, is put all the crumbs from the erasings into this box here, and that keeps the comic strip looking sharp. And neatness counts, believe me. So that's what's involved in the comic strip process: penciling, inking, and also creating the idea. Well, you've seen all my comic strips: Prince Lightning, Rugby, Cotton Candy. And next time what we're going to do is get really into the coloring of the comics, and we'll color them with paint and all kinds of India inks that are colored. It's really exciting. So I'll see you next time, and until then, see you later. I'm Chester Buckley for Chester Buckley's Comic Strip World. See you soon.
Listen, comic strip fans, if you'd like to write to Chester Buckley, or if you'd like to order the Prince Lightning comic book shown on the show today, send $2.95 in check or money order to Chester Buckley, P.O. Box 226, Kittery, Maine, 03904.